Hey, so this is just a bit of a basic one. I do it quite a lot when I get stuck or I'm feeling quite lazy. So I've just inserted two MIDI tracks here. I'm going to set this top one to input and this one to piano because I plan on using a piano. Just going to grab the Labs piano here. This is free, by the way, and it sounds great. I love it. Cool. So we're not going to be drawing any MIDI notes in this piano one. We're just going to be focusing on this input one. So just insert any sort of note here. It doesn't even matter what note it is, and you'll see why. And I'm going to take the input. I'm going to, sort of like take in input from this and record arm it. And so now whenever a note is struck here, it'll trigger the piano underneath it, which is cool. Just to make it easier to demonstrate some of this stuff, I'm gonna loop here. Ableton comes stacked with a bunch of MIDI effects and devices already. So the first thing I'm gonna do is actually gonna grab random and just bring the chance up all the way. So this is gonna trigger a bunch of random notes. Every time a note is struck. And that's cool. I'm gonna grab an arpeggiator, so this way we can actually give it a bit more of a rhythm. Like if we want, we can go eighth notes, like quarter notes, whatever have you. We can go for a full bar. Just gonna set this to quarter notes for now. I'm gonna bring the gate up because you'll notice that it like the sound stops suddenly. So I'm just gonna bring the gate up so it actually kind of sounds like it's got a bit more sustain now. I'll have it actually go a little bit. Cool. So one MIDI effect I use quite a lot for this is the scale one. The presets are basically just a bunch of different scales. 90% of them I don't even know what they are. Like I've never heard of the I don't even know how to say it. I just basically use minor or major. So I'm just going to drag the minor scale in here and set the bass note to D sharp because that's the key of this track that we're in now. And so it's also worth mentioning the order of the MIDI devices. If I had this before the random, it's not going to stay in key because the random will just generate a different note anyway. So I usually just have this at the end. But yeah, if I loop this now, it'll trigger random notes in that scale. So this basically just locks it into scale. Another MIDI effects I use, and this is probably the main one in this like whole video, I guess, is this chord one. So I'm just gonna hit Control G or Command G and just sort of macro all these parameters here, like so. So what this is doing is like each of these shift parameters adds a new note to whatever amount that you set it at. So if I set this at like 3 semitones, it's going to add in an extra note at 3 semitones. But anyway, that's not. I'm not going to focus too much on that because I'm just going to chuck in this Max for Live device. It's the device randomizer. You can just map it to something and it just randomizes all the parameters for you independently of each other, so they're moving around. Yeah, if I hit play, we should actually start getting some chords. Oh, the input's changed. Hold on. I don't know why it's done that. Yeah, so if I hit play, we should get some chords. Pretty cool. They don't sound too great. The reason why I've put them all, I've macroed all these parameters is so I can actually control the range of the notes. So I usually go by octaves, so set the minimum to like -12, 0, -24, 0, etc, etc. And same for here, so 24, 12, yeah, that can be 36. Cool. And there's also another MIDI effect I like to use called velocity. So this pretty much, so velocity, what that refers to is how hard the notes are being hit or struck. So you can sort of control the range, how hard the note's being struck basically. So if I bring this all the way down, it should be really quiet. Yeah, to the point where it's just muted. So I usually just have this around like sort of 50 to the 60 range and then bring up the random. So it kind of like randomizes the velocity of each of the notes that's been played. Pretty sick. And the reason why we've got it set up like this is so we can record arm it and just basically record the input from all the MIDI. Play around the arpeggiator if you want. Cool, so that's all well and good. I'm just going to get rid of that input channel for now. Just set this to all ends. Sweet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have this loop half a bar here. We're going to go inside the MIDI clip now, and so you can see that all the chords that we recorded are in here. I'm going to drag this loop brace across, hit Command A, Command L, and now I can just sort of scroll this playhead around and just pretty much scroll until I find a cut that works with the music we're kind of using here. So I'll just loop half a bar to start with. Sometimes notes stack up on top of each other, which can sound cool sometimes, but I find that it actually sounds pretty weird. So I usually just like to space things out a bit. You can, doesn't have to be perfect. This is just demonstration's sake. But I just find that this is a really good way to sort of generate some chords and get some ideas brewing. Especially if you're like me, you know nothing about music theory. I find that this is pretty handy. Yeah, cheers. Also, if anyone has any like tips or tricks, please comment them or whatever. Yeah, I love learning. Cool.